Hey, Paula. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
hey, how are you?
Welcome to the
I can.
Afterthought. I'm so glad that you took the time to come back and speak to me about a couple things. I only have like two or three questions I want to ask you, and then it may be more because you'll say something that make me ask you another question. But I'm going to ask you a few questions. Uh, I really, really wanted to thank you again. I love what our first our first like interview was really cool. I truly, truly appreciate that. And I think a lot of people liked it as well. So that's cool. They got something out of it. So my first question is going to be about professional development. You talked about transitioning from government to entrepreneurship. So my question to you, what were some of the biggest like surprises you encountered when you transitioned from being a government in the government to being an entrepreneur? Because you truly had to step out on faith. You weren't going to get that daily that check every 2 weeks. So what was it? What were some of the things that surprised you in general, and then about yourself?
Um, I don't think it surprised me, but I'm a Capricorn, so
Oh
just not having that check, you
right.
know, just not having that check. Like you think you know, but you don't really know until you don't have that check. And not at once, like not, you know, in the beginning, but when there's nothing else and you still don't have the check, that's, when it hit you because as creatives, we always feel like we're going to figure it out. We're going to make it. And we do. But it's never on your time. You're going to have to go through some things. You're going to have to go through some things. And so um that wasn't a surprise, but you just got to hold your breath and saddle up for the ride because if you if you abort ship, then you don't hit the goal. You never test out like your why for leaving. You never know like what it could be. And if you don't have other things around you, like a really great plan, then the valley doesn't, it feels lower than it is. So I would just say, really, really have like a really great plan of how you're going to make ends meet. And also start to live in that space before you need to. Test out living with the in a minimalist space because that's going to help you as well to be able to be okay when you get into that. But I will say that because I'm a creative, I'm always going to figure it out, right? It's just sometimes we don't have the space to figure it out. That could be the not having the support, not being in the right environment, taking on other people's stress, listening to the wrong people, um, and not just trusting your why. Always go back to your why because you made the decision for a reason. So it's up to you to see it through all those phases, and there'll be many phases.
In terms of some financial challenges, when you first left your secure job, were there times where you're like, whoa, I need to meet some bills here, and I'm not sure where that income is going to come from?
So for me, no, because people get tired of me saying this, but I am a Capricorn, and so I had listen, I and I'm always people say you need to be quiet about the things you're working on, just work in
Mm-hmm.
silence.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why are we working in silence? Because then when you are in need, are we struggling in silence too? Like,
Mm.
We not talking about it when it's good. We not talking about it when it's not. Um, well, before I left, I had two jobs. They were
Okay.
not paying I what I was making, but I had some income coming in. And I
Mm-hmm.
knew I needed some income coming in. I need something to water the plants with. So I had two jobs. I've had my CDL since I was 18. So I was just talking to a friend before I even thought about quitting my job. And she just told me, hey, they're hiring, bus drivers. My friend said that, she's only picking up three kids. You know? And I was like, I couldn't even imagine what that looked like because in North Carolina, we had whole buses. We didn't just pick up
Right.
three kids, right? But it's so different now. It depends on the school, it depends on location, it depends on
Mm-hmm.
the children's situation as well and how they're classified. So I was able to just jump in and get hired on the spot because I kept my CDL. I kept something that I earned at the age of 18 and I never let it go. So skills that you have, sometimes we let things go because we just never know. I never knew I'd be driving a bus again. However, I like driving and I worked hard for that CDL. And I knew I didn't I did not want to have to be out there doing that again. That was
Right.
like a month out of my life that I could never get back. So fortunately they hired me on the spot because I had my CDL. And then the second job that I got was teaching at the university level. And it took me a year to get through that process of getting hired. From the time that they said, yes, we would like for you to come teach, to the time that I was actually like, had kids in front of me.
Got you.
Like it took a whole year. The process was lengthy just because of how the schedule works. And so I had some things lined up, not what I was making, but enough for me to say I can be okay so I can focus on this thing that I really, really want to do. And both of those gave me space and freedom to do that. So I was very diligent in making sure that I wasn't bogged down with a job that didn't give me the opportunity and space to do what I wanted to do. So I had time to craft what I required. And I tell people all the time as a coach, you have to give yourself time to dream about not just the high point of what it looks like to do what you want to do, but I need you to dream about what every aspect of that looks like. How you wake up, what are you eating, what are you doing socially, right? Are you still able to get your hair done? Like, what are we doing? So you have to allow yourself that. And then you also have to write down every single thing that you're spending money on. I know what I spend money on. I've done budgets my whole life. So I already know when I'm spending outside of that scope. But if you're not used to that, you definitely have to track it. And you have to track it for at least 3 to 6 months because everything's different. April is different than November. November is different than January. So you have to track it to understand seasonally how you spend money and what your needs are to live. My living needs are different in the winter. In the winter, I save money because I don't go nowhere. It's cold. But in the summer, that's when I lose it. So so I've learned to pay for my summer in the winter. I don't just wake up in the summer and be like, oh, let me do this. I just pay for my summer in the winter. That's the planner in me. So you just have to imagine what your life looks like. Where do you live? How do you eat? Do you need to downsize your car? All of these things. Because you will not be able to keep the same lifestyle. You just won't.
In terms of budgeting, like last conversation we had, you said you're living the soft life. And so in living the soft life, there's goals that you have to reach to even have that kind of life, right? And so my real question is, how did you get to the soft life in terms of, because when you came out, it's been what, 2 years now, right?
It'll be 3 in November.
Oh, look ahead, time flies. So you've made some changes to really come to the point where, 3 years, when you think, especially in business, is not a long time.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like, what did you do? Like, because clearly I know you're a Capricorn and you probably budgeted to the half a cent. So based on that premise, what, for a person who had a certain lifestyle and they want to get back to that lifestyle and above, what would be your suggestions as a Capricorn?
So actually it's been almost 3 years since I left my job, but I've been an entrepreneur probably for the last 8 years, full time, like, well, part time. I became part time in the last, I mean, full time, I'm sorry, in the last 3.
Okay.
Um, I started doing the thing I wanted to do before I left.
Okay.
And that's the thing that I encourage all of my clients. I have a client now, she's in finance, she's an accountant, and she's retiring within this year. And so she has a business and a company where she is making body products. And I have a line that I do that as well, or I did. I don't do it as much. But I've been making body products for like 35 years.
Mm.
And it's just something I don't do as much because the price point is smaller. So I've elevated my products, and my product suite has become bigger. But I started doing the thing I wanted to do while I was still working.
Mm-hmm.
That way I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. Also, when you downsize to grow into what you envision your life to be, whatever you call it, the soft life or whatever,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're going to find some changes in yourself, because you'll find that the life you were living was really to support that job and support the thought processes around having that job. There's things wrapped around jobs and statuses that makes us feel like we need certain things, versus when you're on your own, you start to really tap into like who you are and what you need and require. And when that happens, you're getting back to that is probably not even a thought in your head, right? Your luxury looks different. It feels different. It doesn't mean you still don't do nice things, you don't like nice things. It just means you really tap into what matters to you, because now you've created this life that's free of what everyone thinks and the opinions and the statuses and pressure of the outside world. So for me, it wasn't difficult. I'm a country girl. So I always am going to go back to my country girl roots. I don't need a lot. Even
Mm-hmm.
when I'm in spaces that are a lot, I can only be in those spaces for so long. I am the simplest girl ever. And that's because my grandfather on my mom's side was a sharecropper, and my grandmother on my dad's side was a maid, but technically a maid for all of the local government buildings in the city. So she had the keys to the city.
Okay. I
But when
receive it.
you
Yes.
but when you 7, you don't see that. You just
Right.
see your grandmother's a maid, right? So these are things that are in me because my grandmother had it, my grandfather had it, even though he was a sharecropper, he cut hair, right? He ran moonshine. Listen, he got it in. So I'm who I am based off of who they were, and seeing how they moved, just growing up and being allowed to just be a kid, just being a country girl from North Carolina, walking outside barefoot in hot gravel and, you know, playing outside until the sun goes down. And even when the sun goes down, it's still super light outside in the country in the summertime. So you can stay out there to like 9:30 and be good. You know what I'm saying? Um, eating preserved fruits and vegetables because my grandmother canned those. Like I'm used to just a simple way. So I can always go back to simplicity, but I love luxury. So I teeter between those things. I love great things. I love great spaces, but I love great experiences more.
Mm,
So I think you will figure out what works for you, and you will have more time to achieve those goals when you don't have the stress of the man on your back, the stress of whatever that person or persons are above you, like on your neck, because that's heavy for us. We built this world when we came over. Y'all know how we came over,
mhm,
and we still building this world, working to keep this world up. Like it's too much stress. When do we break away and build our own things and build our own selves up and make the sacrifices for it? And I think also really quickly, because of not having and being restricted to the things that were accessible to us, things are important to us as a people. It really makes us feel good because we know, oh, my mother could never live like this, or my grandmother would never live like this, right? So it feels good. And I went through those spaces too, but I live very minimally. But on the outside, it looks like I live very extravagantly because I do things in abundance that pour back into like my soul, my spirit, and my energy levels. But then I come back to my simplistic life and I move how I move until
mhm.
I'm ready to do the next grand, luxurious thing. So that looks different for everybody, but I think people will find it.
Do you find that who you are, who you're becoming, who you are, who you're becoming, could you have become the same person still working your job, you think?
No, I would have been dreaming about it,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I wouldn't have had the space. I came home exhausted, and my job was not physically taxing. I was in an office, and I was healthy because I was teaching. I was in
Hmm.
charge of a a fitness local fitness facility for the county.
Hmm.
So I was teaching, I was healthy, I was moving, you know, um, but exhausted every day, mentally exhausted,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
makes you physically exhausted.
Hmm.
The stress of having to conform, to bite your tongue, to not show up in your authentic self, that's a lot of work. It's very taxing. So no, I would not be able to do the things I was trying to, but I was pushed with opposition. Even the places that I've been to in the last 3 years, I think I've been to like 8 different countries in the
Hmm.
last 2.5 years since I left that job. So I was moving in that direction when I was there, but there's always opposition from people who don't understand your goals, that
Hmm.
don't feel your power, don't and think that you're a threat. And we're always going to be seen as a threat because of our superpowers. So, who wants to walk in that every day? You know,
Right.
yeah, it's tiring. So I wake up and I'm in spaces where I'm celebrated as just a person, not because of what I bring to the table, but just as a person, I'm celebrated. And I get to celebrate others
People.
genuinely, not because that's what I feel like I need to do in order to keep my job, keep this animosity down, make sure I stroke this person's ego. It's a lie.
Right.
Yeah. So I don't have to do that. Everything I do now, I'm in spaces where I get to celebrate other people and I get to smile more. And I get to just, when I'm tired, I get to say, I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm gonna
Right.
step down. I'm gonna step back. I'm gonna take a day. There's nobody is on my neck about what I do and how I move in any of the areas that I move in. So I'm so blessed that I'm in spaces where I get to celebrate and I get to be celebrated.
Love it. Love it. As a Capricorn, how do your astrology astrological traits you think as a Capricorn influence your business and personal decisions?
Well, we're loyal and we're very determined. Um, they say that we're frugal. We really are not frugal. We just have goals with our money, and our goals are not your goals. So that makes us look like we're frugal, but we have goals for our money,
And I
and we
love
have.
the play on words. I love the play on words.
Well, I mean, if you look it up, if you were to just Google,
Oh
these are
God.
the words that would come out at you. Okay. I've looked at them a lot, especially in this dating life. Because when someone I'm dating, I'm definitely going to the astrology and saying, "Are we compatible?" And
Really?
so
Do you believe that? You absolutely believe that?
I believe it, because if you open the book of Capricorn, you will see all the things that I am. Um, we are very disciplined. So when we have a goal, that's our goal. And it will prevent us from being out there having fun, okay? But it's fun for us to hit our goal. So our fun looks different. And we are not afraid to revise the plan. And I think that that's something that we, just as Black women, need to give ourselves more grace about. That the plan is always evolving, it's always like malleable. You can mold that plan like clay. So if you see that it's derailing a little bit, it's okay for you to mold it in a different direction. If you see that people around you are going off the rails, it's okay for us to discontinue this journey. Okay, this part of the journey you will no longer be on. Like this is like, you know, and it's not with any type of malice. It's because we're so clear on the goal, and however we need to get there. You can't quit your job and just have people play with your goals. You can't. If someone says, "Hey, I've got the same goal, let's work together," and you see it's not working right, remember you quit your job. So it's okay for
Right.
you to say, "This is no longer serving me or you, and we've got to move in a different way, friend. I'll see you at happy hour, but this work relationship is over." Like, and because we're so honest, and a lot of people will say we're blunt, but I think we're just straightforward. Sugarcoating things only creates to um, not fully understanding what's being said or done. It muddies the clarity. Being straightforward makes it very clear. So I think we as women always want to um, speak in kindness, and we get kindness and honesty mixed up. Just because I'm honest about a thing, and it may be the thing you didn't want to hear, doesn't mean I'm not being kind. I'm being honest, because we have to have hard conversations. And so we have to have those hard conversations in order to have clarity, understanding, and in order to reshape the goal. Because a lot of times people are left by the wayside because people didn't want to have the hard conversations. So instead of having the hard conversation, they just disconnect. And you don't know why they're disconnecting. They didn't want to have the hard conversation. But if you had the hard conversation, we could have worked that out, because some people are moldable. Some people are open to hearing with the other ear. So we just have to be strong enough to have those conversations. And I always say, lack of clarity is always, always, always going to result in just this unclear space, and confusion. And we don't want that. We don't want to move in confusion. So Capricorns get a bad rap because we do the things and move in the ways that other people don't, you know. Like I had a position, and I used to just send my emails. It's in communication. Hey, can you bring me the cup that's on the other side of the counter? Right. I didn't say, hey, good morning, Tonya. How are you? You know what, love? Could you go to the copier machine, and you'll see a brown cup with my name on it. Can you bring that to me for me? Just whenever you get a chance, dear. It's okay. Whenever you get a chance, I would appreciate that. Okay, thank you. You have an amazing day, love. But I need my cup now. I'm thirsty. I'm about to die. I got allergies. I got medicine I gotta take. I need my cup. So I would probably say, hey, the next time you go over there, could you please bring me my cup? It's sitting next to the counter. Thank you so much. Same thing, but it's just different. And because I didn't use all the feel good words, people sometimes they can't receive it. The second one appeared to be a little bit rude. Was nothing rude about what I just said. I took all of the fluffy words out of it. You knew exactly what I needed, right? And if I really wanted to put some emphasis on it, I would have said, I got to take my medication. When you go over there to that counter, because you're going over there now, right? Because I need a time frame. Can you bring me my cup?
Right. I'm with you.
Yeah, so I think we live in a world where, because Black women have a way of being assertive, we do have a way of making sure that we're clear. We have this label of being aggressive. There's nothing being aggressive about being clear about what it is that you need and you require, and there's nothing aggressive about making sure that you have your own back, advocating for yourself, asking questions no one else in the room wants to hear. And if you ever are in a room with a lot of different people will always look to the Black woman to say, you should ask that question. It's been done to me. I was in a meeting one day at work right before I left, and everybody was mumbling, and I was always the one that would just say what I had to say. And then I realized everyone else is safe, and I'm the one that's the scapegoat. So we were in the meeting, and I just had a question. I just said it under my breath. I wasn't mumbling, but I was just like thinking out loud, like, well, why doesn't this happen if that's what you're saying, or something to that? And three people turned around and said, you should ask that question. And I looked at them and said, you know what? You should ask that question. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, sunshine. Go ask that question. Because they are so used to us stepping in and saving the world while they sit in the background squeaky clean. And sometimes some fights don't require us to step up. If we just sit back and just watch, which is what we do. Capricorns they're aloof. That's one of the words. We're not aloof, honey. We just checking out the environment. We checking out who's who when they're not on. How do they talk about other people? How do they move in the room? We're analyzing the space and the people. We already know who we can talk to and who we can't. And if we're not talking to you, in the words of Cardi B, it's because we don't with you. Our energy told us that. So there's no conversation. I, I know who you are. I feel that. I'm gonna keep this very limited. So it's how we protect ourselves from the mess, because I mean, I would say Capricorns don't like to be in a lot of mess, but we always seem to be in a lot of mess because we're so straightforward. We're we're very progressive. We're loyal, so we'll fight for you even when you won't fight for yourself. Like
Mhm.
we're always in the middle of the mess because of that. But I will say that we as just women, which regardless of what your astrological sign is, have to get out of being nurturers to a fault of yourself and at the detriment of yourself. We also have to be okay to have the uncomfortable conversations because that's going to give us more information on whether we want to proceed. Sometimes we walk into spaces because we didn't ask questions. We had questions in us, but we did not ask questions because we didn't want it to be perceived as pushback. It's okay for you to figure out if the space is safe. It's okay for you to make sure that the ground is safe before you step into it. And it's okay for you to say no when it is unsafe or there's any doubt. It's okay for you to say, you know what, I'm going to pass on this one, but definitely keep me open for the next time. And no
You
is
know,
a complete sentence. No is a it's
oh,
a complete
absolutely.
sentence. Complete sentence. Yeah.
I want to go back to the distinction you were making about being kind and being clear, getting clarity from people. Uh, it was once said to me, which people, you were making the distinction that people, if you're being direct and to the point to get clarity, that people think you're not kind, and actually that's not true. What's really true is if you're not being showing clarity, then you are being unkind because you leave the person wondering, not knowing exactly what it is. So, and because you didn't step up, because you didn't want to have the uncomfortable conversation, because you couldn't say what you truly felt, you're actually being unkind. You're not being, because that's not kind when you leave somebody hanging. They have no concept of what you're talking about, how you're feeling, anything, right?
Yeah.
So I would rather than be looked at as unkind
Well, you're
because
being unkind to yourself because now you're in a situation that you know you wouldn't have been in, dealing with people you know you would never have been dealing with
Mhm.
if you had just asked certain questions, because those questions will let everyone in the space know, oh, she thinks a little different, which means now they have an opportunity to meet you or to level up themselves or to say, you know what, this isn't going to be a good fit. So instead of you saying it's not going to be a good fit, you leave the door open for the other person to now say it. So now it's not always on you. We just have to be okay to have those conversations and say, as much as I want to say yes in the world, because yes is a complete sentence too.
Mhm.
But whenever you say yes, but that's not a yes. It's not a yes. Yes and a but means that everything I just gave you needs to be reworked in some way because you said but.
Yeah, you negated
And
everything you said.
yeah, so that's not a clear yes. Maybe your yes but should be a no. There are times it can be reworked, but there are times that it's selfish. We say yes but to not say no.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
but right. And you're hoping the other person says, oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. So now you don't have to say no. But I want every woman to practice saying no. Everything is not a yes.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
Like, no. If you listed in the comments, if you're watching hashtag replay, type no in capital letters with and don't even put an exclamation point on it because it has its own punctuation. Just type no in the comments in big, big, big capital letters. Get used to saying no. No.
Right. And peace be with you, okay? Right, I receive it. Oh my God. Um, yeah, and part of the reason we do this show is to just get people to realize that some of the things that we stop ourselves from doing is because we don't do the work on ourselves, and we need so many people's approval and yes and amen and all this stuff, which doesn't matter at the end of the day, because if you don't know who you are, how can anybody else know who you are? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
It's just
understand that you're always growing. You know, in the
always.
beginning I said give yourself the grace to rework the plan. That means give yourself grace to rework you.
Mm-hmm,
You may have said, you know, this is what I used to do and this is how I used to move, but life changes people. And so give yourself grace to say, you know what? I'm just in a new season right now. And that doesn't serve me anymore. I see things a little different. Um, and I'm moving according to what I need and require in
mm-hmm,
order to feel happy, whole, and safe.
mm-hmm.
And that's okay. So we have to do the work on ourselves, but we have to give ourselves grace and say, you know what? I don't know why I used to think like that, but yeah, I'm thinking different. I'm thinking different.
And you become more happier and at peace.
Yeah, because there's no pressure.
Right. Right. Exactly.
There's no pressure. You just chilling. You just like, yeah, because now you didn't put pressure on yourself. So how can anyone else put pressure on you? Like no one else can do what you won't do for yourself. At least shouldn't. So think of it in that way.
Yeah, I received that.
Mhm.
So, purpose and passion are my thing. So let me ask you this question. What would you say to someone who's struggling to find their purpose and passion?
I would say start with doing the things that feel good. You know, join those communities. You never know where the thing that makes you feel good is probably where your it's definitely where your passion lies. You just haven't figured out your purpose in that yet. So you got to be more present in those spaces and you got to be more present around those people. And once you're more present around those people, then it'll start to come. And then start to use your no words because you don't want to use your energy doing things that take away from your passion and your purpose. So you want to be very clear on maintaining and protecting your energy. But the more you're around the people that are about the thing you love, the bigger your purpose will become, the more clear. So I'll use myself as an example. When I left my job, I'd been teaching Pilates for about 15 years, managing studios, all the thing, had my own studio, and I was over that space because of the job. So the job and the people that are around you can make you not have passion anymore for the things that you like. So that's why the people that you have in your space in proximity to you, that's important, right? Fast forward probably 4 months after I quit, not even 4 months, 3, I see an ad for a studio that's opening up down the street, not even a block from me, around the corner. I could walk to it, right? And I'm like, there's no studios here in this area. So I called them instantly and they called me back on a Sunday. And black people we don't do too much on a Sunday. You know what I'm saying? I don't anyway. I honor
Right.
that day. So I'm in my bubble. Called me back. We had a conversation. And then, like a week later, I have my official meeting and I'm hired. Right. And I'm like, okay, this is just going to be like some extra money. And it turned out to be one of my happy places. It turned out to be my safe space. It turned out to be a space where I'm able to be celebrated and celebrate others that look like me.
Mm-hmm.
And so being around that space has afforded me the opportunity to fall back in love with this thing called Pilates that I was no longer in love with.
Right.
But just being the studio, being within proximity of me, helped me to find that love and that passion that I experienced. And it wasn't Pilates. I didn't fall out of love with Pilates. I fell out of love with all the things managing Pilates and certain entities. So now I'm in love with Pilates, fast forward, and now I'm connecting with other people who are also teaching around the world, not just around here, but around the world. And I'm meeting women that are doing amazing things, Black women in the space of Pilates that are educators, they're teachers, they're traveling and they're presenting, and they have their own studios and they have their own certifications, and they're working with these top people and these top entities. And because I'm in proximity now with these people, because they my people,
Mm-hmm.
I put
Mm-hmm.
myself in their space with
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sharing air. Now a lot of opportunities are now opening themselves up to me. Now I'm one of the presenters that that's traveling around the country to talk and speak and educate and inspire on different things pertaining to the business world in Pilates. Now I'm an author. I have a whole article coming out in a major magazine next month. But it was because I was in proximity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so because I'm in proximity, my passion was able to be fueled. And because now I'm passionate, my purpose is now being plotted for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really ask to do these things, but I'm just having conversation. Like I'm sitting at lunch and I'm just having a conversation. And because of that conversation, someone moved a chess piece for me
Mm-hmm.
because I was in proximity around people that made me feel safe, that reignited my passion.
Mm-hmm.
So now all of these other opportunities are coming about. So it's very multi-layered. It will not probably happen all at one time, but because you're in proximity to people who have the same passions as you, then your purpose will definitely be routed through that. But you can't find purpose when you fighting on your job with people who don't get you, that are jealous of you or intimidated by your superpower. You can't find your purpose when you are dumbing yourself down just so that you can fit in for this paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
You can't find your purpose when you're exhausted from dealing with people who don't matter in the grand scheme of your purpose, why you're here, the transformation you're supposed to make in the world, what your blueprint is, your footprint is in the world. You too busy spending all your energy with them, and they ain't got nothing to do with your real purpose of DNA in this world. So we have to figure out how to conserve energy, how to only be around entities that grow our passion,
Mm-hmm.
and being feeling safe enough to have conversations about your hopes, your dreams, and you know, and being able to just show up authentically. Because when you show up, sometimes people see things in you you don't see in yourself.
That's so true. Mm-hmm. That's so
Yeah.
true. So now that we're on Pilates, I mean, what are some of the misconceptions that people have about Pilates, and how often do you encounter them?
Well, I teach, so I encounter them every day. Every day. Um, the misconception is that it's not for us. When when you do the work and really study Joseph Pilates' work, he only worked with, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there, there's a lot of fallacies out there, but he only picked out two people and said, I look, they were in the room. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, and they had a passion for it, right? And he picked those two people and said, I see this in you. You can teach this. And he trained those two women. They were two women of color. Lolita San Miguel, she's still alive. She's Puerto Rican and from Puerto Rico, and Kathy Grant, who is no longer with us, African American, both dancers. They took classes with him. He pulled them out and he trained them on the format. Only two people in the world that was trained by him. So that lets you know that it's for us because he only worked with women of color. There were people from all over. You know, Joseph was a little German man. This is right after the war. Wasn't nobody trying to mess with him, you know, so it was hard for him to push that thing.
Mhm.
But because he had something that worked, and because he worked in spaces that he was allowed to be in, he was in a studio space where there was a dance studio either above or below in New York. um and he nobody would work with him, so he would pull the dancers that were just sidelined, because you know once you get an injury they put you to the pasture
Mhm.
and to
Mhm.
just go lay down. It was great working with you. Okay. And so Joseph pulled those injured dancers and started working with them. And
Mhm.
they recovered quickly and did not get injured as much because they were building those muscles in a way that strengthened the foundation of them being a dancer. So now that's how word started to spread that, you know, Pilates is for dancers. That's a myth.
Mhm.
Dancers were what was available
It
to
was
him.
available.
And
Mhm.
so,
Mhm.
yeah. And so dancers are around like they're doing shows. Who's in their shows? Actors and celebrities are in their shows, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
now the celebrities are working with Joseph. That's another myth that, you know, it's only for a certain demographic or it's only for a certain you got to make a certain amount of money and certain economic bracket, right? But again, this is just where he lived in a studio that was accessible to dancers. Dancers are in shows with celebrities. Celebrities are talking to dancers. They want to feel good and strong too. So now dancers and celebrities are doing Pilates. So it gives it this elitist type of
Mhm.
energy
Mhm.
when really that's not what he built this premise on. He built this system of exercises because he himself was a very sickly child and they didn't even expect him to live. And he built these exercises watching what was around him, which is nature. So watching like how birds move, how cats move, right? So if you ever think about how a cat moves and it stretches and it pushes on
Mhm.
his hind legs and his
Mhm.
front legs, and what is that? What is that? That's cat and cow.
Mhm. Mhm.
Cat and
Mhm.
cow. So you know, he mimicked bodies around him, and he took the same exercises to the war because he served in the war, and um, again used it on the war um, soldiers that were injured.
Mm.
They're laying in their bed. The reformer mimics the bed. These are exercises you can do laying down.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
this wasn't built for the elitists, right? But when you bring things over to the US, you know, we make stuff up as we go. Like
Right. Okay.
you know, we see it one way, and so that's the story, and that's what it is. But if you really read his story, he never built this for the elitist or for a specific demographic, other than those that were injured, that didn't feel good in their bodies, that people had pushed off to pasture. He built these exercises so that even if you couldn't stand, you could still get strong through your core. So
Mm.
those are some misconceptions about Pilates, but those are the reasons why I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it because it feels like your body is finding its own dance. Like the breath connects with the way the body moves. There's a synergy between how the body is aligned and the breath, and it just flows for me. So for me, I fell in love with it before I even did it. I saw a
Mm.
flyer and I read the words on the flyer. Now, this is some business one-on-one, baby, because I don't know who wrote the copy on that flyer. Okay. when was Franklin born? Franklin was born in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So I read this flyer in 2005. It was like December when I read that flyer. I remember I was sitting in my office. I saw the flyer. I took it home, but I didn't read it. It was a trifold, and I opened it up and I read it over and over and over and over. I just, the words of what this thing called Pilates does for your body, I wanted that just
Got
because of
it.
the words on the paper. So I found out I was pregnant. Oh, and my son will be 20. He'll be 20. So yeah, I didn't learn to do Pilates until a year and a half later. So I've been teaching Pilates for almost 20 years. But those are some misconceptions that you have to be. Let me work out in the gym before I do Pilates, right? Pilates is your whole gym. Like I just literally canceled my gym membership yesterday. First time I ever paid for a gym membership, but I was trying to do something different. You know, you got to test some things out.
Right, right.
But it hurt me to pay for that gym membership. I have not paid for a gym membership in my adult in 20 years, in 20
Got
some
it.
years, right? Because I work for the gym. But I said, let me go and just be a body, work out how I want to work out, no distractions, nobody
Uh-huh.
knows me. Child, I ain't step foot in that gym. I can count on in 3 months, I can count on probably it ain't all the fingers. I'm gonna tell you that in three
Okay.
months. So I canceled my gym membership because Pilates is my gym. It's everything I need. It's everything I need. You know, I just needed to make time to be a body. And that's what I did this summer. I made time to be a body. That is super expensive. That's another one. I really want to hit on that. Oh, I really want to do Pilates, but it's super expensive, right? And I tell people all the time what you're paying in this franchise that you're going to would only cover 4 classes for me. What you pay for this one class, this one time a week, so you're getting 4 classes, will only pay for one class in a regular standard studio, right? So, and I've been teaching 20 years. So the pricing is always consistent. The only thing about it, it will go up. It won't go down, but it'll always go up. So also that dinner that you had on Instagram that you posted, I'm just saying, if the outfit, that one outfit and that one dinner, okay, and the hair, because your hair was different. So you add all that up, and I'm not gonna take your hair away from you. So keep your hair. But the money you spend on the meal, and I saw bottles popping, right? And the outfit, that one outfit that you had would pay for Pilates for 1 month. Unlimited. You can go as often as you need. So there's choices that you have to make. Going back to the beginning of our conversation, you know, in anything that you do, there are choices.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you think about it in the beginning, it's expensive until you get used to paying it, and then you don't think about it anymore because your life is changing. Yeah,
Your
your body
your
is
body's
changing, your
changed.
mood is changing,
Mm-hmm.
you're in clarity, more focused, right? You are focusing on you and putting yourself first. And when you do that, life changes.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You might
Absolutely.
not
I can
even
speak
need
to
the hair because you might cut it. You know how we do, just cut the hair because
it.
we got clarity. You might just cut the hair because you got clarity. So that's another misconception, is that it's expensive. Your health
It's
is not
never too expensive.
expensive. If you want
Mm-hmm.
to know what's expensive, get sick and go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go to the doctor and they put you on a medication.
Mm. Let's not talk about that. That's a whole
Yeah,
nother
that's
hour.
expensive. That's
Oh my
expensive.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I told you I really only had three questions, but this is the last question. This is the last question. So, looking ahead, what are your future goals for your Ebony Biz Diva and Black Girls Do Pilates 2 brand?
Whew. So we've talked. I'm in transition right now. I'm not gonna state what my transition
Right.
is.
Okay.
I'm not ready to share that to the world, but
Okay.
am in deep transition. Probably the biggest transition of my world, of my whole entire world of 54 years on this earth.
Okay.
But it's exciting. And for Ebony Biz Diva, because I'm always creating, right? I'm getting back into where I started, because as a business coach, there's this thing that happened during COVID where everyone wanted to shift gears and start their own business, which was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But what we have to realize is that Black women are the largest demographic to start a business, but
Mm-hmm.
they're also the largest demographic to fold their business in
Mm-hmm.
18 months or less. And that's because we just start the business. So if you cook a good meal and people like, you need to do this for your business, we just find a spot, buy the equipment, hire our auntie and them, and put a sign on the door. I know. I've been there. I did it with my Pilates. But now we don't have the systems in place that take you out of the equation of your business. So you got to be there every day if you want to make money. And that is not the dream. That's bondage. So my goal is to help entrepreneurs to be able to understand the systems that they need in order to remove them from the business so that it's on automation in some ways. So system strategy is definitely my jam.
Mm-hmm.
And also how to show up online in a way that continues to attract people to you, because you got to have a funnel that goes in. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've been struggling with how to show up in this space, because when we went back to work, a lot of people had to go back to work. The entrepreneurial space changed. People were no longer at home. People no longer had the luxury to just be an undivided customer or client. Now they're getting up, they're dealing with kids, going back to school, they're going to a job they don't like, they're in commute. So now you've got to figure out ways to funnel new business into your lifeline. And so um then we got into the level up. So on the back end as a coach, it's like, oh, you need to have this type of offer and this type of offer and this type of offer. And there was something in my soul that just I didn't want that. I do have $10,000 offers, but my $10,000 offer isn't for my client. My
Got you.
$10,000 offer is for like that special client.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 offer is for a client that is dreaming in Technicolor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and we're moving in a certain direction because of all the things that are involved in the $10,000 offer. But my base offer is 5,000, but I have products for 197.
Mm-hmm.
I have products that meet people where they are. So my goal is to really show up in spaces where if you have 197, let's work together. I'm just finishing up a program, System Summer School, which is just an extension of my annual coaching, but I've
Mm-hmm.
broken it down into segments. And System Summer School is that quick 4 week, let's get these systems together, your email automation, your lead generation. A lot of people don't even have a lead gen. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are posting on social media, content is bomb, but you ain't asking for nothing and you ain't showing people where they need to go so that
Mm-hmm.
they can stay connected with you. So there's some pieces that need to be tweaked. We need to figure out, how do we continue to have our content have lasting life with SEO? And then how do we add on to the sale? So those are the four things that we talk about. We start with SEO, lead generation, email automation, and upsells, cross sales, and down sales. 4 weeks in the summer. Next, we phase into Black Friday. And so Black Friday is my favorite because that's where the money resides.
Of
But
course.
yeah, but everybody doesn't know how to get to it. So that's when we figure out how to get to it. So that's the business end. And Black girls do Pilates too. I'm a travel agent now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just to support my business as a wellness retreat leader. So during COVID, I was able to couple my love for travel with just noticing that we're not taking care of ourselves as Black women, and we're not traveling. We're not enjoying this world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I ended up doing was I put together these wellness retreats where it's a little bit of wellness, it's a little bit of girls trip, right? Because we need that connectivity. We
Mm-hmm.
need that connectivity. And so we started in Puerto Rico, we've been in Tulum. We just got back from Curacao this in June.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to Bali next year. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at Costa Rica. And then I'll be doing a business retreat in Curacao in 2025 as well. So a lot of things are happening in terms of that. And just, yeah, I see a Black Girls Do Pilates cruise. I'm working on that.
Very
And
nice. Very
yeah,
nice.
like let's take over. Let's just take over one flow. One flow, right?
I can
And
see the picture of,
yeah,
all the women on the boat with their little bathing suits on doing Pilates.
doing Pilates. Okay, with that little mats on the Lido deck, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, and then partying at night after dinner because we grown. Okay, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So, working on Black Girls Do Pilates 2 cruise because it's important for Black women to travel. And I'm always going to meet you where you are. So if you can't do this high end retreat where we go to a luxurious, 5-star villa, private chef,
Mm-hmm.
all of the things, if that's
Right.
not where you are, then cruising is definitely an affordable option for a lot of people. So yeah, I meet people where they are. So I'm excited about where it's going, but I'm merging now. Um, I am in fitness spaces at conferences talking to them about marketing and business and SEO and content creation. So that's I'm aligned, like all the things are aligning, right? And I'm also in business spaces talking to people about how to normalize nurturing themselves, putting their health first, exercises they can do at the desk. So there's this symmetry or synergy that's happening right now that I didn't ask for. I wanted it for a long time. I was cuckoo cocoa for I was just gone. I was Black Girls Do Pilates over here. Then I come over here and be Ebony Biz Diva. I felt like Superman, like I was changing in and out of my cape. And
Right.
now I don't have to because those worlds are now really colliding and connecting. So it's a beautiful space that I'm in because now I get to just create. And one of the conferences just hit me up for next year. And I said, hey, who's doing the booking for your conferences? Because I'm a travel agent.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. Let's connect
Yes.
these dots.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the response I got was, "Hey, this conference is already connected, but I want to talk to you about our upcoming dates." Listen, closed mouths don't get fed.
They do not. They do
I'm
not get fed.
already there speaking.
Right.
I already know what you need, right?
Received.
Let's
Hmm.
let's let's get all of this
Let's do
together.
this.
So
Yeah.
we have to figure out how to think outside the box for ourselves sometimes because the more you're connected to people, the more you're living in your purpose. So you don't have to go out and find it. A lot of times it's
It's
right here in
right
front of
there.
you. It's right here in front of you. Yeah, yeah. So that's what's up for me. Just still teaching. Really going to push my online course. I'm going to have my online portal back up and running in 2025. Working on my podcast. I already have some interviews in the can. I'm not like you, Tonya. I don't have as many as you, but I'm working on it slow and steady, and then it'll roll out in 2025. Working on my agency. So any entrepreneurs that, if you need coaching, definitely I do have some programs you can slide into. Black Friday is Black Friday Intensive starts in September, and the doors opened this week for that. So it's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks, but it's actually 15 sessions. There's some co-working sessions. There's some private one-on-ones that you get with that. And then we're actually working through everything so that by the time Black Friday gets here, 2 weeks prior to, everything's done. You're not still trying to write email. You're not still trying to create funnels. You're not still trying to figure out what product you're going to put on sale. Everything's done. So I've been teaching this for 5 years. And I'm excited to do it again. So I've mastered the blueprint on how to get you from not even having a product. Because I've worked with clients, didn't even have a product. And by Black Friday, baby, they had that product. That thing was uploaded in Kindle. They were selling that thing.
Received. Yeah,
Yeah.
I received that 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited about Black Friday Intensive. So that's a couple of things. And the agency is just for those that say, hey, I don't want to learn how to do it. I just won't pay you to do it. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
focusing on video because that's my jam. So if you're in need of video content, or if you're a podcaster and you just need your videos edited, that's my jam. Like I
Got it.
literally was up till 6 this morning editing video and
Okay.
wasn't tired. I had to make myself go to sleep. Like I can do that thing all day. If you
Got
need,
it.
yeah, TikToks, reels, long form and short form videos, or course creation. That's I got you.
So if I can just recap and you could correct me where I'm wrong. I left my job almost 3 years ago in November. And now I'm and now I've evolved. I'm continuously evolving into this person of having the freedom, the soft life, living my life in a way that I deserve and where God has put me. And as I move through the process and I'm in the proximity of the right people at the right time, I'm making moves that I never could have made at my job. So thank you for being an
Absolutely.
entrepreneur. I love it. I love it. Thanks again for taking the time. As always, I truly appreciate you. It's been fun as always.
Absolutely. Anything for you, Tonya?
Stop it. And that's it. That's another segment of the afterthought. I'm grateful and always grateful for anybody. If it's just one person that looks at this and they get something from it, then I think we've done our job. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday.
Have a wonderful day. Peace, everybody.
Peace. Hold on. Okay. It won't end. It won't end, people.
What else we gonna talk about?
I
What
know.
else
I
we
was saying
want
we
to talk
supposed to
about?
talk about something else because I keep hitting the end and it won't end.
You